Hey everybody, for this week's hybrid boot camp, Amy and I are going to be telling you about papers. I'm going to show you the papers I love. Then I'm going to show you some papers that make good alternatives if you can't grab these. And then I'm going to show you one photo paper that I absolutely think you will not enjoy at all. And I'm going to show you my ink that I use. Before we get too much further, if you have questions, if you want to know, if you want links to any of these papers, they will be in the description box. There will be links to the Cardstock warehouse and the rest will be Amazon links, and those links will be affiliate links. And that just helps me to be able to continue to be home and create content for you. So let's get started with my favorites. So when it comes to printing 12 by 12 pattern papers, I actually have two favorites and I like them for different kind of reasons. So these are both cardstock paper from the Cardstock warehouse. This one is foundations paper in pure white. And this one is speckle tone paper and in starch white. So both of these will print beautifully. Both of these will give you fabulous colors on your 12 by 12 papers. I use the pure white when I'm working with white-based collections. But when I'm working with cream-based collections or vintage-based collections, if I am printing Cosmo Cricut papers, if I am printing basic gray papers, if I am printing anything like that that is more cream-based or vintage, I like to print it on this speckle tone paper. I feel like you get a better, more accurate color print because the patterns you're printing already are that cream based. So these are my two favorite 12 by 12 papers. Cardstock Warehouse Foundations Pure White, Cardstock Warehouse Speckle Tone Starch White. I will leave links directly to each of these colors in the description box below. Okay, 8.5 by 11 papers. So these is when you want to print the PDFs for Tracy Reed's collections. This is what you want to print on if you are, if you've created an 8.5 by 11 sheet of die cuts in Canva and you want to print them out. My favorite paper for this is Epson Presentation Paper in Matte. There will be an Amazon link in the description box below, but this paper, so a couple of things about this paper. First of all, it's not the thickest paper on the block. It is a little bit thin. Doesn't bother me in the least because it just makes it easier for me to fussy cut the die cuts. My scissors just glide through it. Why I love it is because you cannot beat the way this paper takes colors. So true to life, so perfect. You cannot get a better print, especially if you're like me and you're in Canva and you're kind of like pulling those die cut shapes in and then kind of making them smaller because you don't like big die cuts. So I cannot stress this enough. This paper prints so fabulously. And if you're using Tracy Reed's PDFs, so if you're printing her sheets of stickers, if you are printing her traveler's notebook papers, or if you're printing the 4x6 and 3x4, they print fabulously on this paper. And because the paper is not super thick, if you're going to use it in a traveler's notebook, you're not bulking up your traveler's notebook with extra thick paper. Okay, so I really like this paper for those applications. Next up, photo paper. I get asked about photo paper all the time. Again, you will find a link to this photo paper. It will be an Amazon link, affiliate link for Amazon down below. This is the Epson, or not Epson, wrong. No, not Epson. Epson is the presentation paper in matte. This is Canon paper. This is Canon Pro Platinum paper. This photo paper is, I love it. So I always would print my pictures onto at Persnickety Print. So I'd send the pictures out. And I still do that sometimes when I want some odd sizes of things. And now that I am printing photos on this paper, I go back and might be using the photos from Persnickety Prints, and I'm like, oh, I don't like these. This is really thin paper. This photo paper is so thick and it prints so good. This paper was like a game changer for printing at home for me. So this is Canon Pro Platinum paper, and I will link it down below. Now let's talk about some options if you can't grab the papers that from the Cardstock warehouse, or I have had the unfortunate experience of having that Canon Pro Platinum paper. I've had it sell out on me, so I couldn't get it for a while. So here are two options to kind of replace those two things. First is the paper. Canon Photo Paper Plus Glossy 2. You will still get an amazing print. It will be beautiful. It's just a thinner paper. Another thing is that if you like, or you are wanting to start stamping onto pictures, that Pro Platinum paper and this paper you can stamp beautifully. I just use an archival ink, like a pigment archival ink, and it will just stamp fabulously. So just keep that in mind. These are really great papers for stamping on, but if you can't get the Pro Platinum, this Photo Paper Plus in Glossy 2 is a very, very good paper as well. Okay, so let's talk about a nice option if you can't get the full 12 by 12. Now, I do not have a good option for that Epson presentation paper and matte. And for the 12 by 12, okay, this is gonna look insane when I put this down, but this is Epson Premium Presentation Paper in matte. Now, they don't sell a 12 by 12 version of this paper, but they sell 50 sheets of a 13 by 19 sheet paper. So I will link this one down below if you can't order, if you're in an area where you can't get the Cardstock warehouse, say you're in, Australia, and it's just too much money to try to ship it, or UK or whatever. This is that presentation paper, so it's a little bit thinner. You'll have to trim it down, but when you print it, it will print beautifully. So just keep that in mind. This is a really great option. I keep it here. I have it. It's kind of like my break glass in case of emergency. So if I'm wanting to print something and I run out of paper, if I run out of either of my favorites, if I run out of the matte presentation paper, or I run out of the 12 by 12, the Cardstock warehouse paper, I can cut these sheets down and use them. Okay. One more thing I need to show you. I want to show you something you do not want to buy. Don't do it. Just don't do it. Trust me. And that is Canon matte photo paper. It sounds amazing, right? I always ordered matte paper. And so I was always like, I love matte pictures. I love it. So I want to print matte pictures, right? Don't do it. Just don't do it. So this matte photo paper, what it is it is 4x6 cardstock. It's just cardstock. I know Epson makes a matte paper that's actually like a matte photo paper. This is not that. This is literally overpriced 4x6 white cardstock. So don't do it. If you really want that look, and I don't like the prints I get from this either. I mean, I don't. Let me just say this box. So I bought this box like, I don't know, years ago. I bought 2 boxes. The first box, and I bought it for Project Life because I knew if I didn't print my Project Life pictures at the end of every week, I was never going to keep up with Project Life. I did Project Life for 2 years, and I did a 6x8, 6x8 size. Okay, so I used the first one, the first box, because I started using it and started printing it, and then I was like organizing for Project Life. But then when I went through and started to work with the photos and create the pages, it's just it doesn't look, it looks like you cut a piece of white cardstock to 4x6 and ran it through your printer. So if that's what you want, then just don't bother spending all the money on the special cardstock that says matte photo paper. Just cut down some cardstock. I was very disappointed in this product. I just had to share that because I know that in the scrapbooking industry, when you go to print your photos, a lot of people, including myself, will buy matte photos. That's not what this is, though. This isn't matte photo paper. Okay, let's talk about inks. I'm just going to very briefly touch on this. So I know that I linked up the ink that I use in my Canon printer. I linked it up to our first hybrid bootcamp video, but I didn't actually like talk about it at all. I just linked it up. So I don't know how to pronounce this. Paleolus something. What it is these are extra, extra large ink cartridges. They fit in the Canon. The Canon recognizes them as an ink cartridge that goes in the machine. And these ink cartridges, when it says extra, extra large, it means it. They last forever. I mean, I can print for literally like 2 weeks without a problem. Weeks and weeks I can print. Couple of things to know about it in my experience. My printer will tell me the inks need changed long before the inks need changed. So it'll pop up with that thing that says your ink might be out of ink. I say okay and keep printing. The printer will give you a red X and tell you that the printer is out of ink. The printer is not out of ink. The printer is not out of ink until you run something through and you can see by the print that the printer's out of ink. So just an FYI, if you are using these generic cartridges, don't listen to the printer when it says it's out of ink. It is, in fact, not out of ink. Okay, that's all of my ink and paper information for you. Head to the description box below. You can grab any of these supplies that you want to try. If you are new to hybrid scrapbooking, if you haven't bought your printer yet, I would still recommend those Cardstock Warehouse cardstocks because I use them as backgrounds, just white backgrounds. That cardstock is like my go-to, off the charts, amazing, perfect cardstock. So I would definitely grab some of that for backgrounds. I don't like the way it goes through my Silhouette. I will say that. My Silhouette, my go-to for cutting die cuts on my Silhouette is Basil's Coconut Swirl. But for all other white cardstock uses in scrapbooking, it works really, really nice. All right, guys, I'll talk to you soon. Bye.